The Shooting Range. In this episode, second one in the new year, Pages of History 2 versus 10, the story of the downfall of a celebrated German ace. Tactics and strategy, drowning heavy cruisers, and metal beasts, an outstanding Swedish hotshot. Meet the Salv, a Swedish tank destroyer with a BR of 3.3. It happened in War Thunder with the update Northern Wind and became perhaps one of the most incredible premium machines in the game. It's armed with a 120mm rifled autocannon with a vertical aiming angle from -10 to +25 degrees and horizontal ones 15 degrees in each direction. Smoke grenade launchers are installed on the right side of the cabin. The armor is almost non-existent. 30mm in the front can only protect you from AA guns, and even a heavy caliber machine gun can penetrate the 15mm armor around the cabin. The crew is located in the front of the hull. The engine and transmission are in the rear. It's not common to find such calibers on Rank 2 machines, but otherwise, the Salv doesn't look like something special at first glance. So, why is it so incredible? 2 words: reload rate. The autoloader holds 6 rounds, and until there is no ammo left in the first stage stowage, the time between shots is, get this, 1.2 seconds. Basically, this is like a 120mm machine gun. There are 2 types of ammo available: a weighty but quite ordinary HE round and an APC-BC one carrying almost 900 grams of TNT. But if you want to cause mayhem in the enemy's combat compartment, you need to break through the armor first. And this part is somewhat tricky. The Swedish APC-BC round pierces about 90mm of steel from the most common combat distances. So you can ditch the proper aiming only when you shoot at some AA guns with cardboard protection. In all other cases, you have to aim at the sides and other vulnerable areas. On the other hand, you've got everything you need for this task. Excellent mobility, even in off-road conditions, great elevation angles, and powerful optics. Not only this machine will be among the first ones to take an advantageous position, it will also feel perfect, even among hills. Still, you might want to take some time to get used to the trajectory of the projectiles at long and medium distances. In close combat, your outstanding fire rate gives you great advantage. With due luck and dexterity, the Swede is able to easily get rid of several rivals in a row. But it's worth remembering that this tank destroyer doesn't have a turret, and it's quite reluctant when it comes to turning on the spot. So, going out on a hunt, you need to make sure that the opponents are distracted with the ongoing battle and won't notice you immediately. Or, at least, that you can pierce them with the first shot. Also, keep track on how many rounds are left in the first stage stowage. As soon as it ends, the reload will start taking 10 seconds for each subsequent projectile. If this moment catches you in the midst of hot battle, you will only have time to retreat into your own hangar. The celebrated Major Hans Hahn, an ace with 108 victories, recipient of the Knight's Cross, of the Iron Cross with oak leaves, commander of the second group of the famous Jagdgeschwader 54 Squadron, was seeing a waking nightmare. The Soviet fighters, there were only 2 of them. How? Why did this happen? After all, it wasn't some rookie pilot. It was him and another 9 of his best pilots. blocking a whole section of the front line sky. It was they who had to be the ones swiftly diving and bringing down the two Soviet self-proclaimed pilots, who were obviously naturally incapable of fighting in the air. How did they manage to dodge the attack? And why was only one of them now sitting on the tail of his rapidly climbing Gustav? Unable to get rid of this nightmarish obsession, Han shouted, "Cover me! Get him off my tail, now!" Armed to the teeth, the retinue of the great ace rushed to save their commander. The first one started aiming toward the tail of the impudent LA-5, but suddenly it exploded, hit by a long burst from the second Soviet fighter. He couldn't afford forgetting about him, but he did. The German aces continued trying to save their leader, who was screaming in horror in the air, and after a few seconds, the second Gustav fell to the ground. A blast from two cannons of the trailing LA-5 smashed its cockpit to smithereens. The third realized that the troubles hit the fan and decided to turn away. That was his final mistake. He flew into the sight of the same LA-5 on his own. The burst tore off half of the Messerschmitt's wing, and it rushed towards the ground. Utter horror possessed Hans Hahn. Mere months ago, he was installing fear into the British Spitfires and Hurricanes over the English Channel. He was promised a joyful hunt in the east. With the roar of the shells piercing the fuselage and the sound of tearing duralumin, the fighter of the illustrious ace and close friend of Hermann Göring himself started falling down. Having already jumped out of the dead machine, Hans Hahn saw another Messerschmitt caught in flames. The remaining 5 German aircraft scattered and ran west without any attempts to fly in a formation, and the Soviet fighters, having carried out the order to clear this section of the front-line sky, turned around and went to land. So, who were these great aces who piloted the 2 LA-5s? They were Lieutenant Pavel Grajdaninov and his wingman, Staff Sergeant Davidov. Now, if the first one was already an experienced pilot with 10 victories, then the second one, Sergeant Davidov, had just arrived to the front. It was only his second mission. As for Hans Hahn, he never woke up from it. Upon his return to Germany in 1950, he published memoirs in which he stated that he had been hit by an anti-aircraft gun and had to make an emergency landing on the territory occupied by the Soviet forces. They tried not to debate with him. He was impossible to wake up. And to be honest, nothing good would have come of it anyway. Heavy cruisers are currently the most armored class of ships in the game. Sinking any one of them is not an easy task, even if you control another heavy cruiser. Everything gets put to use here, from heavy calibers to quick torpedoes. But what if you're playing on an aircraft? Which of the various payload options are best suited for the destruction of heavy cruisers? And is it even possible at all? Let's figure it out. Let's start with the Tiny Tim anti-ship rockets that you can use, for example, on the American Hellcats. We fly to the ship, launch both rockets, and the cruiser is still afloat, with all the damage limited, several flooded compartments, and a fire on board. Well, these are definitely not designed to hit such large naval targets. Moving on. Torpedoing is a traditional way of dealing with large ships. That is, of course, if you're capable of planting a direct hit on the target. When it comes to realistic battles, you have to launch torpedoes by eye, without a lead marker. Also, the dense AA fire doesn't allow you to fly close, so even if you take the right lead, the cruiser usually has enough time to change course. But if you still manage to get hit, and even in a good section of the target, then the frag is truly well deserved. Just don't expect it to always come your way. The next type of weaponry is the Fritz X guided bombs. There are only 2 aircraft in the game that can carry them: the German Heinkel's 111H6 and 177A5. The advantage is the ability to slightly correct the trajectory of the dropped bomb during its flight. But there is a disadvantage as well. Unluckily for us, both carriers of these bombs are clumsy bombers who need to gain about 5 to 6 kilometers in order not to get shot down by naval air defense systems. After several unsuccessful discharges, we still managed to plant it right into the center of the cruiser and destroy its engine compartment. Of course, it's a good result. Yay! We immobilized the enemy. But still, the bombing accuracy is clearly not enough for our purposes. In addition to the usual dive bombing, there's another approach that can be effective against naval targets. It's called skip bombing, and we've talked about it a lot in episode 25, long before naval battles were introduced in War Thunder. The idea is that a bomb gets thrown from a small height, bounces off the surface of water, and then hits the target. The accuracy of such a drop is much higher than that of guided bombs and torpedoes. In addition, that way you can attack the cruiser directly into the front. The AA fire density here is minimal, and that's what you can use to your advantage. You can use this method on almost any aircraft that can carry at least one 500-kilogram bomb. Before taking off, we set the fuse delay to 1 second. We fly at an altitude of about 20 to 30 meters, at a speed of 500 to 530 kilometers per hour. Try not to speed up faster than that, or the bomb will simply crash into the water. When there's 500 meters remaining to the ship, we drop the bomb and immediately turn away. It hits the target in the side, then plunges underwater and explodes near the ammunition store. Victory is ours. We've successfully sunk a heavy cruiser with a single bomb. And now, having accomplished this mission, we move to answering your questions that you leave in the comments. The first question was sent by a player called George Bashaliev. Are the sparkles different from every gun in the game? You'll hardly spot the difference between 2 similar rounds hitting the target. But if we're talking different types of ammo, then, of course, the effects will differ. An exploding projectile, a hit by an APFSDS round, or machine gun bullets hitting the armor don't look the same and have different visual effects. Then there is a question sent by Tuis. Why it is so difficult to use rockets? Unguided rockets are indeed not the easiest type of armament. They're usually located on your wings, so one of the most useful pieces of advice: aim a bit to the right or to the left of the target. That way, you'll increase your chances of hitting it with at least one of them. Here's another question from Jad Fo. Do you have the specs of the computer that you record your videos on? Well, the main component here is the graphics card. Our in-game operators have NVIDIA RTX 2080 inside their machines because they require a stable frame rate with all graphics settings set to maximum and in 4K resolution, while the process of recording itself also devours a lot of resources. Of course, if you want just to play comfortably, you can achieve that with a lot more affordable and simpler gear. And the last message for today was written by Starfell. What's the fastest piston engine aircraft in the game? Well, that's a trickier question than it sounds, as every aircraft has its own optimal conditions. If we're talking horizontal speed, then the contestants for this prize are the F8F Bearcat and the DO 335 File, and the British Tempest Mark V. And if we're talking about maximum dive speed, we'd name the Italian Re 2005 Sagittario. There's even a photo signed by its test pilot. 980 kilometers per hour. Well, that's it for today. You've been watching The Shooting Range by Gaijin Entertainment. Subscribe to the channel, guys. Don't forget, press the bell button and leave a like. Practice skip bombing. And tell us what you think in the comments below. See you in a week.